core. Hello, welcome to my first video on this channel. Today we're going to be combining random aesthetics together to create new characters because I couldn't think of anything else to do. Yeah. We all know aesthetics. We love them. We hate them. You stick a random, take a random word and stick core at the end, and boom, bam, there's your new aesthetic. You got fucking robot core. You could get trash core. That actually kind of sounds cool, though. Not gonna lie. I think that's a thing, actually. But today we're going to be combining them and to make random characters. And I know what they look like. You don't know yet, but they're pretty cool. Just stick around and see it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and like if you enjoyed the video. And hope you enjoy. Welcome to the wheel. I've made it very, very pretty, as you can see. It's hideous. But so we got, let's see the things we got: punk, kawaii pastel, goth, coquette. I'm not saying this right. Barbiecore, cyberpunk, mermaid core, dark academia, fairy core, and solar punk. A suggestion of my sibling. So we're gonna roll, and I'm terrified, and we'll see what happens. Number one, for our first aesthetic, we have okay. Oh, dark academia, and that is going to be combined with oh yeah, it's so helpful. No. Well, so the first combination was dark academia and kawaii pastel, which is awesome. I thought that was gonna be easy at first. That was my reaction. My reaction was like that, and then I immediately realized they're both color-oriented aesthetics. So we'll see how that goes. So I did a little research for this video about the aesthetics that I chose, so I can talk about them. Woo! Dark academia as a subculture originates from 2015 Tumblr and the internet, but it gained most of its popularity during the pandemic, which makes sense because we were all stuck inside and romanticizing being in school again and having fun. But it does romanticize classical education, literature, and the fine arts, and takes inspiration from Gothic novels of the 18th and 19th centuries and Renaissance art. It's equally rooted in interior design, taking inspiration from European academic traditions. And apparently it romanticizes and mythologizes secret societies for some reason. I guess a lot of books that use the aesthetic usually originated, or like, sorry. I guess a lot of books that used dark academia revolved around secret societies for some reason, which makes sense because it's a cool aesthetic. I actually really like it. So, kawaii pastel, on the other hand, originated from 1970s Japan. It actually comes from something called buriko-ji, or childlike handwriting, used by teenage girls in a youth counterculture movement in favor of self-expression. While it was banned in schools very quickly because it was hard to read, the style and aesthetic of the simple shapes and forms was used in a lot of media. For example, Hello Kitty, which was created in 1974 by Sanrio. It later went on to heavily influence Harajuku street fashion by the 1990s. And since then, digital communities and pop culture have made it popular globally. So my reaction there after spinning the wheel was because I, like, at first thought that this was gonna be easy because a lot of their shapes are really similar between the aesthetics. But then I immediately remembered after looking through the Pinterest that they're both color-oriented. And so it was gonna be a little bit difficult. My solution to this was to focus on the color scheme of Dark Academia, but really pull in the shape language of kawaii pastel. So poofy sleeves, plushies, soft fuzzy fabrics, pom-poms, bows, and oversized clothing, which works for both of them. I also went for an owl theme in the end because I wanted to add a cute little critter, and owls fit really, really, really well with Dark Academia for certain reasons. For the colors, I obviously went with darker muted colors to match the Dark Academia, but I tied in pastel blues to really bring out some of that kawaii pastel still. And I think it contrasts really, really well. with the darker muted colors that I use for Dark Academia. I really like how she turned out. She was very cute. But yeah, so I added a bunch of owls everywhere. Gave her some little bows. The owls were probably really fun to draw. I did just look at them. They're so cute. For the design, I went with an oversized coat lined with pom-poms and bows. I tried to pull in some of the academia and school uniform vibes. So she has a little bow on her, and she has a little collar with a little nice bow. A little nice tie. And I tried to really mix the fabrics and shape language of the school uniforms you see in a lot of Dark Academia with the kawaii pastel. I gave her light warmers, a nice cute little skirt, and her top is like a fuzzy little sweater. I think I did a good job. I'm very happy with how it turned out. She's very, very cute and adorable. Yeah. Welcome back to the wheel where we're gonna decide my next fate. I'm scared. The rest of these combinations here aren't great. I was hoping for Dark Academia with like cyberpunk or something, but we'll see. Ready? Drum roll, please. Oh. Okay. That's a good start. I'm scared now though, because that's like cottagecore, whimsical fantasy mixed with fuck, this is bad. Oh no. Oh god. No! And I want something difficult. Unless the world tells me to go with coquette again. Oh no. Moving on to our next role, we got Fairy Core X Cyberpunk. I went ahead and vetoed Croquette because I didn't feel like mixing Fairy Core and Croquette together because that would have just been a pink fairy. And I wanted something interesting for the content. So it's me. I win. So I originally put Cottagecore on the wheel, but I chose to change it to Fairy Core because Cottagecore wasn't as whimsical as I remembered. I guess the 2020s dumbed down the term for me. And Fairy Core is more closer to what I wanted, which is like fantasy, whimsical fantasy vibes. It's like the more whimsical and nature-oriented cousin of Cottagecore, and it's rooted in a lot of fairy folklore. The current version of the aesthetic originated in the late 2010s and was popularized during the pandemic again, and it draws inspiration from me like Winx, Tinkerbell, and Barbie. I don't think I ever saw any of the fairy Barbie movies, but it makes sense. This does actually contrast with a lot with the older, darker, more traditional versions of fae, which are usually more tricks, like very, very grungy, which are more intertwined with nature and much darker. Fairy Core today is a gentle, whimsical, and highly romanticized version of nature and magic that involves a lot more glitter, sparkles, and pastels. The second thing we got was cyberpunk, which is by the way, my favorite genre. Cyberpunk as a genre actually originated from the 1980s as a genre of speculative fiction. The term was coined by Bruce Bethke in 1983 and was solidified by William Gibson's Neuromancer in 1984 and Ridley Scott's Blade Runner in 1982. It visualizes a dystopian future dominated by corporate power, neon signage, and urban decay, reflecting the anxiety over rapid technological advancement across the world. Cyberpunk today can be found in a large variety of mediums: books, movies, shows, and video games. As an aesthetic, cyberpunk has become a large phenomenon in mainstream. It typically features bright neons, synthetic fabrics, and an emphasis on tech, obviously. And the main thing is the more belts and straps, the better. Which I definitely included in my design. So my goal with this design was to lean a bit more into Fairy Core, but make the silhouette more cyberpunk-esque. So I gave him a puffy jacket, cargo pants, because duh, and lots and lots and lots of straps. Tons of them. They're all over the place. The thing is, belts were a very, very common theme among the references I was seeing for Fairy Core, so it worked pretty well. But to balance out a lot of the cyberpunk elements, I tried to lean into using more materials seen among fairycore, like leather. So instead of regular straps, I gave him leather belts and lots of loose fabrics, rather than the typical synthetic ones you see, aside from his jacket. In the end, I wasn't gonna do it, but I did it, and I gave him robot fairy wings because it's cool and I needed that in my life. Again, to lean more into the fairycore vibes, I gave him mushroom earrings and lots of plant motifs along with crystals, because I think the crystal girly aesthetic kind of leans into this a little bit more. Something that I couldn't put on the design because he was not turned around was I think there should be a fairy star on the back of his jacket. I also wish I could have put, one thing I wish I could have put in the design was like a fairy ring, but I couldn't figure out like where I would put that. Let me know if you have any ideas. But I mean, like, I could have put one like around his belt or something, I don't know. For the colors, I lean more into a fairycore color palette, using mainly green and earthy tones. I needed to mix in neon colors, which was scary, and I originally tried to do pink and green, but that was bad. It looked bad. I hated it. So I moved towards a greenish yellow and purple for the neon colors. And I think it looks great. I am very, very happy with how he turned out. I was going to put this one up for adoption. I'm keeping him. You can't have him. He's mine. No one can have this. This is mine. I love him. Look at them. I am very, very happy with how the design turned out. I love all the fairy motifs and nature motifs on this design. I really, really like what I did. The fairy wings are my favorite part. I think that goes without saying. They're gorgeous. I love them. They're really, really cool, and I will probably be using that somewhere else at some point because, oh my god, I have created peak. Okay, welcome back to the wheel one last time, and I am terrified of our options here. We're just gonna go ahead and spin. I'm really scared. I really want goth and mermaid core, but oh, yeah, mermaid core, please, please, please. Yay! Okay, but now any of these is gonna be kind of crazy. Any of these is gonna be kind of insane. Ooh. Uh-oh. Well, I believe. Oh no. Mermaid core and solar punk? Really? Really? Mermaid core and solar punk? Oh god. I can do it. 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 The final roll gave us a mermaid core and solar punk, which was added there at the request of my younger sibling because he hates me. The main problem I had with this going in was that the entirety of these aesthetics on Pinterest were AI. Almost all of it. Mermaid core because it runs into the same problem with a lot of dresses, whimsical dresses on Pinterest. Even if you have the filters turned off, you will still stumble across AI on there. Mermaid core is no exception. And then solar punk was mainly AI just because it's such a new thing. I don't think it's very popular in the public conscious. It's a very, very new form of speculative fiction. So it wasn't great looking for references. It was really hard. The other problem I had with solar punk was that it's more of a architecture oriented stick rather than outfits, so outfits was very much lacking. There wasn't really much. Like, there was mainly like naturey loose fabrics again, kind of Asian inspired, I don't know, like robes. But let's talk about the origins of these things. Mermaid core originates from the 1930s. I couldn't find more on that. It's just a weird fascination with the ocean and mermaids and sirens, which is understandable because we love doing that. But it became popular again in 2023 with kind of as a nostalgia thing back to like pieces of media, like again Barbie or what was it, H2, what was that one mermaid show? You know what, we know which one. I'll find it and put it up there. You know, I didn't watch it. I don't know. It focuses on oceanic color schemes, iridescent materials, and nautical themed accessories like nets and shells and starfish and seashell bras because Disney decided that was a good idea for some reason. Solar punk, on the other hand, is a relatively new genre. It originates from 2008 and is an artistic and literary response to cyberpunk. It envisions an optimistic future of a world with organic architecture that integrates renewable energy. It is heavily inspired by Art Nouveau and Frank Lloyd Wright's organic architecture. The other problem I had with it, looking for references for this one, is that it's not really one thing, but rather a combination of influences from different social movements. Again, it is more focused on architecture, so it was really, really difficult to find things for it, but I think I managed to nail it down. I wasn't originally going to make her a mermaid, but I decided to cheat a little because I couldn't do it. It was difficult. It was really, really difficult mixing the two in. The main problem that I had was that Solarpunk and Mermaid Core do not mix. For a number of reasons, aside from the obvious, like, they're very, very different sticks. The other problem is that Solarpunk is really, really involved in being one with nature and living with it, while Mermaid Core, and this is not going to be a criticism, this is not extending hate to anyone, is very much a consumerist aesthetic of taking things from the natural world and using it for fashion, which does not mix well with a genre that is meant to be living with nature and environmentally friendly with green energy, because it just doesn't work. My main thing, so I originally used pearls and seashells in the design. I put it in her hair, I put it along her tail, I put it around her neck, but it's like a little pearl necklace, but I quickly remembered it doesn't make sense for that to happen because there's very, very few uses for pearls aside from fashion, and it actually hurts oysters when you do that. You can either gain all of them from taking it from dead oysters, or you can shuck them and kill them. That is how pearls are farmed, and that doesn't really make sense for a mermaid that is supposed to be environmentally friendly. At the same time, seashells didn't work because taking seashells actually hurts the environment. Heavy tourism can reduce shell abundance by up to 70%, disrupting the natural calcium carbonate cycle. Removing seashells and other things along the beach can destroy its habitats, can speed up erosion, and can lead to the decline of biodiversity. All in all, again, doesn't mix well. It does not mix well with an aesthetic about living in balance with the natural world. So I changed the pearls to lights to remove that design element. I did manage to keep some shells in there because it's fine. I think this design had the most visual storytelling out of all the designs I created here. So I gave her a little bag to shelter fish, a respirator mask because I imagined that they'd still be cleaning the environment in the ocean, plant containers, and a kinetically charged battery because I thought that'd be cool. The main way I tied Cyberpunk into this was through a lot of the shape language. Most of Cyberpunk has very, very natural, organic flows to it. So all of these like bands and natural shapes were inspired by that. I also added it to her tail and some of her fins. And I think I did a really good job, Loki. I'm happy with it. To mix in more of that environmental thing, I added barnacles and other shells to a lot of those stone parts. I imagine like she's offering like a home and shelter to a lot of the creatures in her environment. I thought it was really cool. For the colors, I decided to just mix the very, very basic palettes together. Solarpunk typically has white screens and blues in most of their things because I guess white is clean. I don't know, I have no idea. And I tried to add pearlescent colors, so I did that by making most of the lights pearlescent. And I added a little bit of tint to her tail. I don't know if it's really seeable though. Her design was really, really difficult just because the whole thing with the AI stuff, finding references was a nightmare. And then mixing them together was okay. I think it's fine. I think I did a good job. I'm very happy with it still. I'm very happy with the hairstyle I chose. I think it looks great. I think it's awesome. I really like adding the beading I added to it, along with some of the like stone decals in the hair. But yeah, I think I did a good job. I don't know. I think it's fine. And here they all are. I quite like how they turned out. They're very, very cute. I think the fairy one's my favorite, but I love them all. If you guys have any idea which I should name them, let me know. They're currently homeless and yeah, nameless. Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm thinking about putting them on my KOFI shop for adoption. If you would like that, let me know. The fairy one's mine. You can't have them. Sorry. I'm keeping them. And a new announcement: after this video goes up, I will be adding a new listing to my Ko-Fi shop. Link in the description. If you guys want me to create a character like this and you just give me a random word and prompt, I will do that for you. Give me like a random item or aesthetic or phrase or, you know, combination of aesthetics, because I can do that too, as you can see. I can do that for you. I can make a character. So let me know, and you can check out my Ko-Fi shop for that. Subscribe, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button if you enjoyed, and bye bye. Hope to see you next time.